stone landscapes going up the Solano Valley, you will be struck by the luxuriance of the woods, the abundance of water and the presence of rock, appearing both in its natural state along the steep banks as well as in the stone constructions throughout the area. Mills, factories, ironworks, castles, churches, buildings, roads, quarries, and stone terraces, the ingenious work of man has left its mark on the landscape over time. The picture becomes more complete when the sounds of daily life are added, amongst which we can distinguish the chiseling of the stonemasons of Strada, who have transformed the area over the centuries. The Stonework Museum, part of the network of Ecomuseums of Casentino, is dedicated to their know-how and to the stone landscape. The museum is housed in the deconsecrated church of the Salesian College of Strada in Casentino. The deteriorating building was purchased by the local council in the 1980s, who definitively renovated it in 2012 with the construction of social housing, a conference room and a theater, in addition to the museum. The museum narrates life in this area as it was yesterday, as it is today, and as it will be tomorrow. It is an interpretation center with the aim of providing documentation, studying and handing down the widespread community's heritage linked to stonework, both material and immaterial, in the Solano Valley. The creation of the community map of the Upper Solano Valley through a process that involved local participation has made it possible to capture the memories, aspirations, and creativity not only of the local population, but also of outsiders and external users. On entering the museum we find the room dedicated to the genius loci, stone as the raw material of monumental buildings, artifacts, small objects for everyday use, and as a living reality in the local imagination. Next is the section, The Medieval Stone Age, curated by the Chair of Medieval Archaeology of the University of Florence, which exhibits the results of research carried out on the excavation of Castel Sant'Angelo of Setica, the methods of work used in the construction of the bridge and the mill, and representative material testimonies of stone artifacts in the Solano Valley. Ceramic, metal, and stone exhibits tell us about daily life in the Middle Ages. The last section is dedicated to the ancient activity of the Strada stonemasons, which has continued to the present day thanks to the historic Rialti, Colazzi, and Carletti families, and recounts the life and history of these craftsmen through their tools and their works. The visitor can then continue outdoors to admire the beauty of stone, both in the landscape and in architecture, the stonemasons' workshops and the quarries. Churches and castles, the result of the work of skilled stonemasons and industrious bricklayers in the Middle Ages, are set in the landscape of the Solano Valley, but there are also more recent and minor works to discover. Large and small monuments and artifacts of daily use such as fountains, washhouses, and troughs, paved roads and bridges, that directly represent the local communities. Next, our gaze will be drawn along the agricultural terraces, miles and miles of stones put in place by farmers to wrest land for cultivation from the slopes. The still visible network is gradually disappearing, but it remains one of the peculiar characteristics of this landscape, recognized as a UNESCO heritage site. These stone elements, both the large and the small works of the local material culture, are the expression of a know-how that is the distinctive language of the area. This heritage is a written text that recounts a landscape you can recognize and get to know, also made up of immaterial evidence alive in the local imagination. The medieval tradition of stonework in Strada began thanks to Matilda of Canossa. Legend has it that the Marquise commissioned the construction of the castle of San Niccolò, engaging many inhabitants of the area alongside expert masters who came from afar to build the nearby parish church of San Martino Avedo. The discovery of engraved stone fillets provides documentation of leisure activities in the castle. This ancient game was very popular and widespread in the Middle Ages, especially among soldiers as an exercise in strategy. The ceramic finds tell us of noble medieval tables set with crockery in the Florentine fashion of the time, real status symbols. Between the end of the 13th and 14th centuries, mugs and plates were of archaic majolica, glazed pottery decorated with geometric and plant motifs in green and brown using copper and manganese oxides. The historic families of stonemasons are gradually dying out. The stonework exhibition in the 1990s was established thanks to this tradition. Period photographs, panels with information provided by the most senior stonemasons, and the tools on display in the museum, which leave marks similar to those used for medieval ashlar work, all testify to the antiquity of the trade. The artisan resilience in the Solano Valley also involves other activities linked to natural resources such as the water mill of the Grifoni family and the blacksmithing activity in Pagliariccio, suspended between tradition and innovation, as well as the construction of charcoal kilns in Setica. Millers, blacksmiths, charcoal burners unexpectedly survive modernity, and with their competence and manual skills, they represent precious resources for the future. Vocational guidance and training included in courses aimed at building heritage communities can certainly contribute to reversing cultural patterns that relegate these trades to a past that can no longer be resuscitated. But in truth, the figure of the stonemason is extremely modern. Just think of the construction sites linked to the conservation and restoration of the huge existing architectural heritage, in which increasingly specialized and competent people are required. The themes of confrontation and exchange with the world of art and design are worth exploring more in depth, as well as those related to the preservation of the landscape. Innovative and creative trades could and will emerge in the near future, occupations which, however, cannot fail to treasure the knowledge and skills from the past.